How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Brandenburg starts with 6 provinces in the HRE with only 57 development. Although a fairly small nation, it's widely popular with EU4 players. The main reason is that forming Prussia from Brandenburg is a natural progression in game. And Prussia is a very strong nation with one of the best militaristic national ideas. One of the fairly common terms to describe Prussian army is Space Marines, and it's not without merit. Last game I had peak morale of more than 11 and discipline of more than 130%, which makes wars a piece of cake mid to late game. The real challenge is early game though. Brandenburg starts fairly weak in close proximity to some bigger nations such as Bohemia, Poland and Denmark. And you are in the HRE, so expansion can get rather slow because of aggressive expansion and demand for unlawful territory by the emperor. Let's start by looking at some of the starting moves, then we can discuss Brandenburg-Prussia related gameplay mechanics. Get your level 1 military advisor. You can't afford the other two just yet. Don't set your rivals yet either. Wait till December 1st. In my experience, if you set your rivals early, they tend to seek stronger allies, which will slow down your conquests. Ally and royal marry Austria and Saxony. Improve relations with Poland and build spy network on Pomerania. Once you ally Austria and Saxony, you are safe defensively. Now selecting your third ally and your rivals will depend on the diplomacy around you. 90% of the time Bohemia will rival you, in which case rival them back. But if they haven't, royal marry them but don't ally them. There's a chance they get your dynasty on the throne, in which case you can force PU on them. Or you can save scum till they get your dynasty either way. You will have to take a few loans, but having Bohemia under PU early game is well worth it. Poland won't ally you at the start, but they will royal marry you. They can be a strong ally, but they want the same provinces which you need to form Prussia, so I recommend you ally them only if they take the decision to PU Lithuania, which the AI sometimes doesn't do. Because if they don't, there's a good chance they will get beat up by Teutonic and Livonian orders and Bohemia. Most guides recommend rivaling the Teutonic order, but I don't think it's necessary at the start, unless you find the right circumstances to attack them very early. You have to take some provinces from them to form Prussia, so you will rival them just a bit later in game. Pomerania should be your number 1 war target at start, and that's why I recommend restarting until they don't have any strong allies such as Bohemia, Poland, Lithuania or Denmark. It's a 50-50 chance with better odds if you don't rival them at the start. You can still take them on if they have strong allies, but it's going to take some time, manpower and ducats, and it will set you back a few decades. One of the HRE minors, Magdeburg, usually rivals you at the start. They are not worth rivaling back as they are in the Lübeck Trade League, which makes them fairly strong early game. Mecklenburg is a good target to rival as they have small allies, which you can take early on. If you don't ally Poland, I recommend allying another HRE elector. With Saxony already an ally, you will be the next HRE emperor for sure. So to summarize, you should ally Austria, Saxony and Poland if they look strong. If not, ally one of the HRE electors to guarantee emperorship. For rivals, you should wait till December 1st, then rival Bohemia, Pomerania and Mecklenburg. Later you'll change your rivals to Teutonic Order, Brunswick and others depending on how the game progresses. Let's look at some of the conquest now. You can attack Teutonic Order early, which is a good strategy if Poland is willing to help you out. The only issue is that most of the time, Poland will go and seize down the provinces you need before you, which means you can't take them in the peace deal. One way to deal with this is just take Neumark in the first war and give Poland bare minimum of provinces so they don't lose trust in you. Now, Poland and your truce with Teutonic Order is synced, so possibly next time you attack Teutonic Order, you can call in Poland without promising any land. This strat works very well if Poland is strong and you don't want to fight them early on. If Teutonic Order has a strong ally such as Bohemia at the start, let Poland fight them alone. They will drain each other's resources and then you can attack the Teutons when they are vulnerable. You can also get Neumark via an event for 100 ducats in the first few years, which is really convenient, and you fulfill a mission giving you free claims in Pomerania. Which brings us to the next target. If Pomerania doesn't have strong allies, attack them once you have a claim either by event or otherwise. Goal is to vassalize them. You should prioritize this war over others. It fulfills a mission and gives you some much needed money and trade power. Mecklenburg is an opportunistic target. If you can attack them before Pomerania, do it with Humiliate CB. It gives you power projection, monarch points and splendor generation. One of the best CBs early game. They won't be a valid rival for long. Austria will usually help you out with Bohemia, cut them down bit by bit, there's no hurry here. You could ally Denmark, but it really narrows down your expansion routes. Once you have vassalized Pomerania, Scandinavia is the most logical expansion area. Start building your navy as soon as you can. Only build galleys for start as they have negligible upkeep cost. Once you have naval superiority over Denmark and its subjects, you can start taking Danish lands. Alternatively, you can support Sweden's independence if you want them as an ally. Conquest of HRE miners will be slow early game because of aggressive expansion. You can speed it up by becoming the emperor, or later in the game by dismantling HRE. We will talk about HRE more in the next section. Further conquest will depend on what you're going for. If you want to form Germany, you can play the HRE game and get the required provinces bit by bit. You will have a lot of time as you don't hit level 20 admin tech. We just needed to form Germany till late game. If you're looking to blob, you should decide between Russia and Ottomans mid game, as you will ally one and expand in the other direction. I recommend allying Russia, as Ottomans are always hated by other European powers, making them easier to call into wars. One thing to remember is that although Brandenburg starts with Prussian national ideas, the army bonuses don't kick in till idea number 3, so your army is very average at the start. But once you get all the national ideas done along with a couple of military ideas, your armies are basically unbeatable and you will have very high army tradition, which means godlike generals too, making wars very easy. Let's briefly look at some relevant gameplay mechanics when playing Brandenburg or Prussia. First of all, ideas. The best thing about playing Brandenburg is that you can choose literally any ideas depending on how you want to play. Usually playing with a nation, you're restricted to certain ideas to maximize your potential. With Brandenburg, you can choose anything depending on your gameplay and try out ideas you have never taken before. I like to blob, so I will give you my ideal set of ideas for expansion. I like to start with innovative, as the discount on tech and institution cost is huge all game. Next, I go influence, as aggressive expansion is a major issue early to mid game. Also, you will have a fair amount of vassals, so the deploy annex costs help. Next is religious. Since you're going to convert to Protestant or Reform to form Prussia, it makes sense to go religious. You can also go humanist instead, but I prefer religious. If you have a lot of rebel issues, you can always choose the religious unity policy later. Next ideas, you can go whatever you like. Diplo and admin are good to have at some point. I usually go quality, then admin, diplo, then offensive and defensive for those space marines. Brandenburg starts as an HRE elector. So once you improve relations or ally a couple more electors, your emperorship is guaranteed once Austrian monarch dies. Once you're emperor, you can take on smaller HRE nations slowly. At the start, when you take a province from HRE, the emperor will ask for the unlawful land back, and if you refuse, it leads to some unrest and negative opinion modifiers. To avoid that, you should start the next small war before ending the first one for the duration of coring conquered province. Because the emperor cannot demand land back if you're at war or if you have a core on the province. Other way to deal with HRE restrictions is to dismantle it, which is a good option mid-game. You can dismantle HRE by capturing the electors and emperor's capitals. You will lose the emperorship once you convert to Protestant and Reform anyways, at least until you win the religious league war if you're inclined to do that. And this is a good time to talk about that as well. I like religious wars when I'm playing in this area, especially as Brandenburg. You can become Protestant League leader if you are the first elector to convert to Protestant, so always convert on day 1. Look to start war fairly early before any major nations have joined the Catholic side. For my last game, only Spain was the major nation on their side, while I had Ottomans, Austria and Russia with me. It was an easy war and we made Protestant the official religion of HRE. Once you win the war, it gives you easy emperorship. You can always leave the HRE as well, but I wouldn't recommend it early. The only reason you would do it is because you want to form an empire, as you cannot upgrade to empire level if you are an elector. So if you form Germany, which automatically upgrades your government, you will leave the HRE automatically too. There are a lot of good events associated with playing as Brandenburg or Prussia. You get Neumark for 100 ducats early game from Teutonic Order via event. Very convenient with no bloodshed. There's an event where Ansbach becomes your PU. You can expand in Bavaria from there. Later, you get an event to end the union. You can choose either options, both have their pros and cons. Late game, you get plus 20 max absolutism via an event, which is amazing if you're playing an expansionist game. One of my favorites though is the Prutenic table, which gives you 25% tech and idea cost discount. After this event, you should get as many of them as possible while the discount is active. Another great one is 25% idea cost discount again later. You will never be short on monarch points late game. Some more military events give you army professionalism, tradition and monarch points too. Apart from getting Ansbach as PU, you can play the PU game with Prussia as well. Prestige is one of the more important factors in getting a PU or other nations. The whole PU mechanic is very complex, but if you have high development, high prestige and high military rank, it will increase your chances. In my last game, I got Dynasty on Austria and was able to force a PU, helping me a lot with expansion. With Brandenburg, you can form a couple of nations very easily. You can form Prussia if you have admin tech 10, are Protestant or Reformed and have these provinces. You will usually get the provinces before getting to Adventech 10, so you can play fairly slowly at start and you'll still be okay. Once you form Prussia, you get claims on the Teutonic Order provinces, and your government type changes to Prussian monarchy, which has some very good modifiers. There's another mechanic called militarization of country. It rewards you for playing tall, as having more provinces will decrease the militarization. At full militarization, you get bonuses for discipline, manpower recovery, and land maintenance cost. Prussia is one of the few countries where you get incentives for playing tall. You can also buy militarization by spending military points, but your armies are already unbeatable, so it's not entirely necessary. You can also form Germany at Adventech 20 with these provinces. Expansion into HRE is usually slow, which is fine too, as you don't get any perks by forming Germany except for claims in North and South German regions and maybe roleplay. Once you form Germany, you will keep the Prussian government type and the national ideas, but you will leave the HRE as your government upgrades to empire level. Couple of quick points about expansionist play. Absolutism is important if you're playing an expansion game. You get plus 10 max absolutism from the Prussian government and an extra plus 20 from the event late game. And you can increase your absolutism slowly with strengthening government, harsh treatment, increasing stability, plus the age ability. So firing the code and country disaster is really not worth it when playing with Prussia. In fact, you can do a world conquest without it as well. You can also go revolutionary late game if you want some extra perks and a cool new flag. With this guide, you can get 2 good achievements and a couple of minor ones. Early Reich, just forming Germany gives you the achievement. It's not that hard once you get over the first few years. A fine Goosestep. Getting a discipline of 125% with Prussia is not hard. You can get discipline by national ideas, quality ideas, offensive ideas, policy, ruler trade, advisor, and militarization. So you have a lot of options. You can also do a couple of HRE achievements by becoming the emperor and later dismantling the HRE. And that's the end of this guide. I think Brandenburg is a great nation to play for newer players. You get to experience some HRE mechanics, and if you get over the initial hump, Prussian army ideas will ensure easy wars throughout your game. You can also watch the gameplay in my last time-lapse video. I hope this guide helps out players who are looking to try out Brandenburg or Prussia for their next game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.